Good evening and welcome to Now Chat Show. I'm your girl, Kaz Mac.
And it's your girl, Miss T, in the house.
What's good, Miss T?
I'm just enjoying the weather. As you
I'm
can
glad
see,
you're enjoying the weather. You're almost looking my skin complexion right now. What's going on? Like, you really do that. You're soaking in the sun.
I'm inspired, yes? Come on.
You're inspired. Babe, you know, today's conversation we was talking about hair bonnets.
Yes.
And how much you don't like them.
It's not that I don't like them. There's a time and a place.
Well, I tried to find something like a hair bonnet, and this is my shower cap.
I can see it's your shower cap. Did you do it just to wind me out? Oh, you're terrible. I would never do that to you. All right. Kaz Mac. I get it.
So
all right.
We're gonna unlay the layers right now.
Headscarf. Come on. Pull down the turban. Go on, flash the locks.
Well, guys, welcome to Now Chat Show. I'm your girl, Kaz Mac. We are going to be under some serious business today. We are going to be talking about how to lose weight for good. For good, y'all. We got an amazing coach, Coach Aujile, who's going to be joining us very shortly.
Aujile.
That's not how she pronounced the name. How did
Aujile.
Was it Aujile? Oh,
yes.
Aujile. Aujile, I know you're in the background. Please forgive me. I will get it correct. I know I made some spelling errors. God help me. This is what happened when you try to multitask in the middle of the morning when you should be sleeping. You're up at 2 trying to multitask. Guys, if I go to the kitchen or something like that, it's because I'm still baking. I'm doing the most right now on these streets. But anyway, let's get down to business. This is the show that you guys have been waiting on, and thank you for being here with us. You could have been anywhere, but the fact that you're with us right now, we are truly grateful. We are going to be blessed with an amazing queen who will be joining us very, very shortly. But before we do so, Miss T, how are you doing? What's been going on?
This week's been pretty calm for me, really. I had a nice day today, went to Camden. Really, it's just about getting ready for the children to go back to school. So been shopping for school uniform. And boy, listen, it's just so expensive. Things are not getting cheaper. They're getting, more and more expensive.
So are they going to blame the school uniform on Russia going up, the prices going up?
Boy, seems like that's what they're blaming everything on, isn't it, at the moment?
Yeah, I mean, it's just getting beyond the joke. And anyway, we won't go into that because I'm not a politician. And I'm not going to go into anything that is not really going to be uplifting, because we are a platform to inspire. So it's all about uplifting moment right now. But yeah, I'm really sorry that how the school uniform is costing too much. I'm really sorry that you're having to go through that experience. I'm sure there's mothers that can relate
at the moment going through this. Yes.
Yeah, I can imagine. And it's peak out there, because I'm even seeing like food banks every Friday in Kilburn. Even there's a church near to the gym where I go to the gym in Wilson Sports Centre, and every Saturday they're giving away food, and if you want to make a donation, they're taking donations.
You can get school uniform as well.
Yeah. Okay. So do you think you can get school uniform for your kids?
No, not for mine.
What is
mine,
it?
No, because mine don't look like children. They look like,
adults. Yeah. That's so difficult. But anyway, we just want to share with you as well, before we get into our guest who will be joining us very shortly. There is some events taking place. We've had our wonderful sister in Akua, who is the founder of African Spiritual Practices. She's going to be having an event this weekend. So we will share the link where you can actually purchase your ticket. I think we've got a quick little advert for her. Yeah, I'm going to play a quick advert for her, you guys, so you can check it out, so you can get kind of taste of what to expect. It's going to be this coming Friday and Saturday. guys, that's going to be taking place this coming Friday and Saturday. We are actually we've got 25% off tickets. Yes, I'm going to share the link so you can get your ticket off 25% off. And also we're doing some giveaways as well. So if you want to go to the event, all you have to do is very, very simple. Do you want to let the audience know what they have to do to be able to get a free pair of tickets to go to either Friday or Saturday African spiritual practices?
You know me, I love a competition, you know.
No,
right,
girl.
everybody, all the viewers, this is what you have to do to get your free ticket, okay? You have to let us know who the founder is of African spiritual practices. You have to like their post, be following them, and also be following Now Chat Show for you to get your ticket.
Yeah, so all you have to do is just send us a DM and just let us know who is the founder of African spiritual practices, as Miss T said. And if you do that, like now, still stay with us, but you can multitask. I know you can multitask, but whoever the first two names that we see that comes up, we will send you the details so you can go over to the actual event either this coming Friday or Saturday. Yay. Okay, so our guest who's going to be joining us now, guys. I know some of you are aware that I've been on my own fitness journey for a little while now, and I've been doing some detoxing. And you know what, guys? Look what I've achieved. You see the belly? No, that's how I'm looking at current times, yeah. But look at this. Now, this is our guest who's going to be joining. Like, this is what you call work. Now, my work was hard. I'm not even going to lie, but this is next scales of work. And I think it just makes sense. Should we just bring in our guest?
Bring her on.
Bring our guest on.
Bring her on.
Hi, ladies.
Hey, how are you?
I am wonderful. How are you?
We are blessed. We are blessed. So, can I just ask, whereabouts in the United States of America are you actually residing?
I'm in Ohio.
Ohio. Oh, so is it kind of warm out there? Because, sorry, I don't really know. It's warm, right?
It is. And it will be until probably September. And then it goes downhill from there.
Oh, so it's exactly the same as it is in London. But I'm sure it's a lot more beautiful out there because we're in London, and yes, it is very interesting in London town right now. But we want to dive right into your business. First and foremost, we want to say congratulations on all your achievements, what you've done with yourself. I mean, I've been on my journey since March in terms of detoxing, and that was hard work. But looking at the amount of pounds, because I think you was like 289 pounds or something like that, you lost. That's on next levels, because I only was like 10 and a half stones, and now I'm just almost 9 stones, and I can't even imagine how it's been for you. But I do know it's definitely about mindset. So I think it just makes sense for us to just kind of delve in. So thank you and welcome to the Now Chat Show, and thank you for accepting our invitation. We have been talking to you a little bit. But yeah, so can you just tell us first and foremost, like, what led you to become a mindset and weight loss counselor for women?
Yes, absolutely. First, let me confirm, Miss T was correct. It is Coach Aujile. So
Aujile.
Yes.
I win.
You see, you know there's no cookies here, right? There's no prize.
It's all right. I don't like cookies.
Oh, okay. All right. Coach Aujile.
But to answer your question, the way that I got started in being a mindset and weight loss counselor is, so going back to my educational background, I'm a mental health therapist. I have over 10 years of experience in the mental health space. So in terms of education and just kind of who I am by nature, a therapist is literally who I am to the core. That's what I love. That's my passion. And then I went on my own personal weight loss journey and lost over 100 pounds. And during the course of that journey, you notice a lot, right? You notice a lot about yourself, which, I'm sure you can relate to this, Kaz. you learn a lot about yourself and you learn a lot about the process. And I realized that there were so many people. I came across so many people who were on a weight loss journey just like me, right? But I noticed that one of the key differences were they struggled to keep going. Like they would keep repeating the same process over and over, which I have done as well. But it wasn't until I really decided and committed that this was going to be my last time on this journey that I really started to open my eyes and observe. And I realized, like, if I can keep going and these people kind of keep going through the same cycle over and over again, I have tools, I have information, I have skills that I can give to people to help them on their journey. So that is what birthed mindset and weight loss counseling.
Wow, amazing. Miss T.
So, yeah, I myself also have been on a weight loss journey. I started in 2017, and I don't know in kilograms, but I think at my heaviest, probably after having 2 children, I was probably about 15 stone. That's quite big. I don't know, but yeah, I was a voluptuous woman, and a lot of people are saying to me like, how did you do that and keep it off? And I totally get that. I had to sort out stuff in my head first. I had issues with food and I had to resolve those. But one of the things I wanted to ask you, Coach Aujile, right, is what you say about eat cleanish. Can you explain about the eat cleanish, please? Because I think I kind of get the concept, because I kind of done something like that. But can you explain for us, please?
Absolutely. So eat cleanish was birthed from, like I said, I've attempted weight loss 1,000,001 times. I've been struggling with my weight since I was in high school. I've been actively on some sort of weight loss journey on and off since adulthood, after college, because in college, you don't really care too much. But after that, I really started to kind of go back and forth on my weight loss. So, one of the things, like I tried all types of different programs, all type of different methods. And one of the things that I noticed was that, I couldn't stick to them very long. I would eat, I would find them really restrictive. I would find them repetitive. I'm not the type of person that can eat the same thing every single day for the rest of my life. That's not my thing. I also found that there were like a lot of rules, a lot of complicated rules, and you got to calculate this and subtract this and divide that. It was a lot. It really was a lot. So, I'm like, how can so I realized these things work, right? So like eating the baked chicken and eating more vegetables and like all of those things work, but how can I make this work for me long term? Like, how can I simplify this? How can I like make it so it doesn't feel overwhelming, make it feel like it's not something that I absolutely hate? So most people know like eating clean, which is a big thing now. Eating clean is essentially eating foods that are naturally found in the environment. So if you're talking about eating foods that grow out of the ground, or foods that, animals, natural plants and animals, and oats and grains and things like that. So that essentially is what clean eating is. And I tweak that because I like to have a little fun. So, I do eat maybe 80% clean, but then 20% is my ish, so to keep it safe, to make sure that I can, I can keep going on this thing.
Yeah, definitely. Because the thing is, if you are constantly eating clean all the time, more than likely you will divert back to those old eating habits, because that's what I was finding when I was doing detoxing. I was doing detoxing with Simsima. Big up yourself, Queen, if you're watching a live or watching a replay. When I was doing the detox with her, when it came to Friday evenings is the time when I just relax, watch my movies, eat my popcorn, my onion rings, especially when it's that time of the month. And it was then the realization, I can't have my onion rings. I felt like as if I was, when you are, well, I don't know if anybody knows, but if you are on drugs or something and you are literally just, you're just kind of like having withdrawal symptoms. I felt like I was on cold turkey, that I couldn't eat the onion rings. And literally I was screaming like, I want to eat this, I want to eat this, I want to eat this. And I just kept on reminding myself, it's only going to be for 3 weeks. It's only going to be for 3 weeks. It's not going to be the end of the world. You are safe, etc., etc. So I literally had to start talking to myself why I'm not going to eat the onion rings. And it was peak, because I'm sure whoever's listening now, you may be going for a general experience, similar experience for yourself. But like I said, what I had to do, I had to speak to myself and say, look, it's only going to be 3 weeks. It's not the end of the world. You're not going to die. Just drink some water. Do you know what I mean? I just had to drink some juice with a slice of lemon and just cool.
And got to your bed.
No, I didn't go to my bed. I watched the movie.
You did?
Yeah, but it became easy because then I realized it's the mind.
Mm-hmm.
The mind.
So going to you being like a mindset counselor in that aspect, and obviously with your profession being a mental health professional, how are you able to, like what tips would you give to your clients in terms of dealing with the mental mind when it comes to wanting to indulge in those things that you are familiar with?
So a couple of things I can say about that. One, give yourself grace. Because a lot of times we get into the habit of, let's say if it's something we're not supposed to eat, and then we eat it, then we start to feel bad and we start to feel shame and we start to feel guilt. And then that leads us to eat more of it. And then it's just a downward spiral from there. So understand that if you do decide, because that's what it is, it's a decision, whether you're conscious or not. So if you make the decision to go ahead and eat whatever thing, right? Then you also need to give yourself grace. Like it happened, right? It happened. We're acknowledging it. We're understanding it. Now it's up to you to take a step back and look back and figure out, analyze it. Why did it happen? What were the triggers? What were the factors? All of that. But give yourself grace. Like it's not about perfection. Like relax. You ate it. What did this teach you about yourself? What now? What's the next steps? How do we move forward from here? So I think that's, giving yourself grace is a big factor when it comes to eating, or when it comes to changing your eating habits, or even just changing your lifestyle habits in general. Definitely giving yourself grace. Another thing that I would say is that a lot of times the foods that we eat, it's not even necessarily about like they're crap. Like they're really bad foods. They really are. They do nothing for our body. They might taste good momentarily, but honestly, you put enough sugar on anything and it's going to taste good. So it might taste great momentarily, but how does our body like it, right? So our taste buds might like it, but maybe every time you eat something like cheese, for example, for me, I love cheese. Like I love cheese, right? But at the same time, my body doesn't like cheese. And every time I eat dairy, my body's like, really, sis? Like you just gonna keep doing this? Like we just like what are we doing here, right? So I always tell my clients, eat like you care about yourself. Eat like you give a damn about yourself, because that is what is going to change things, right? So you're not eating, it's not about like, I can't eat this or I'm incapable of eating that. That's not what it's about. It's about, again, making that decision of this is what I choose to eat. This is what I choose not to eat. And these are the reasons why. Right. So really being mindful about the whole process of eating, that process of exercising, that process of weight loss in general, just really adding that mindfulness component to it.
Yeah, I like that, because that's one of the things that I'm finding, like you were saying, in terms of a lot of the food that we're eating isn't good for us, but it is that good feeling, the good taste. And we even had, I'm not sure if you're familiar with Dr. Amsu and Mr. Breaks. They've done a lot of work in Atlanta. They do the Great Black Detox, and they've been doing a whole detoxing program, and they're getting some huge results. And what they were talking about sharing in regards to us eating, like even meat, the types of meat that we're eating, especially as women of color, we've come from a background where our food is very like the soul food that we're eating is not really the correct food that we should be eating. But when you think about where that actually the history behind why we eat like the oxtail and the chicken foot and all them kind of things, there we're eating like the meat that the slave masters wouldn't eat, but we've now made those become traditional dishes. However, it's having an impact on us, but we are so familiar with that taste that it's become like our culture. So what's your views with regards to that? Because I mean, how do we stop eating a type of certain kind of cuisines that we've created for ourselves, but it's not particularly healthy for us?
Well, I think it kind of goes back to what you said about the technique you used when you were detoxing. Like you told yourself, this is only for 3 weeks. You know, you can get there. I don't believe in eliminating foods for good, like any foods. I don't believe in eliminating them for good. What I have realized, though, is if you take certain foods out for long enough, your body will start rejecting it. So you'll drink, you'll be like, this is my favorite food. You'll go to eat it, and you're like, this doesn't even taste right. Like, this isn't even,
Yeah.
like, it's not even good anymore, you know? But I don't believe in going into things and saying I'm never going to eat donuts again or I'm never going to eat chips again. Instead, it's for right now. I'm choosing not to eat the chips, and here's why I'm choosing not to eat the chips today. Right? It doesn't even have to be. You don't even have to. If it's because for some people it's too much to even conceptualize what they're going to do this month, this week. You know. So today I'm choosing not to eat these chips. And this is the reason why I'm choosing not to eat them. So that's a much softer blow than to say, I can't eat chips anymore, or I'm eliminating, or mac and cheese, right? I'm eliminating mac and cheese from my diet. Again, I told you that cheese is not my friend, but I love it so very much. Very toxic relationship there. But you know, I'm not giving up mac and cheese. Like I realize that my body gets very angry. But what I will do is reserve mac and cheese for those big events, right? So Thanksgiving, I'm having mac and cheese.
There you
Christmas,
go.
I'm having mac and cheese. Like, you know, any of those big, you know, find me a good cookout in the summer and I'm still having mac and cheese. You know, but it's pockets of time. I only cook mac and cheese in my house during those sorts of big events. You know, I don't cook it on a random Thursday because I'm craving it or because I want it. You know, and same thing with those other type of foods. You know, your candied yams. You know, the pig's feet. I mean, and I don't necessarily eat those, but you know, whatever those cultural foods are, I think it's important to not give them up necessarily, but to be aware and mindful of when and how you eat it. And also, you don't have to eat a half a pan of mac and cheese yourself. You don't. You
Mm.
don't have to. You can just take a cup and eat it
Portions
and go
right.
watch your kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with that because that's what I do. I mean, I have my treats days like during the weekend. Like my treat day
Mhm.
starts from Friday. I'm keeping it real. Friday all the way to Sunday. That's my treat days. But because I know the impact in terms of my stomach has now shrunk, so I would eat things within moderation. So, for example, last week Sunday, I was at my cousin's house. There was oxtail and rice, and there was mac and cheese. But I can't eat mac and cheese anymore because, whereas you like cheese, but
Mhm.
you can't eat the cheese because your body's kind of rejecting it. My body, the way it rejects it, I just don't even want to feel that in my stomach. So
Mhm.
I don't dabble with cheese. I would love to have the mac and cheese. God help me when I go to my sister Dawn's house because she does the best mac and cheese ever. Just keeping it real. But I just know if I'm gonna have it, I'm gonna literally have just a little segment just to taste it, just
Mhm.
to deal with the mindset. But you mentioned something at the beginning of the show in terms of the skills that those skills that you use with the ladies. I think you said something like that. What are those skills, if you don't mind sharing?
Sure. So it always depends on what the particular client is in need of. But some of the general ones are like emotional regulation skills and healthy coping mechanisms, because a lot of us get into emotional eating. Like I know that that's something
Mhm.
that I have struggled with in the past. You know, you know, learning how to cope with your emotions in a way that's not going to derail you from your goals, right? So that's a big one. I help them with. Also, self prioritization. That is huge. And people don't realize how much of an impact that can have on their weight loss journey. Because we as women, especially women of color, we struggle with putting ourselves first. You know, if we have husbands, if we have kids, if we have, you know, aging parents that we need to care for, all sorts of situations. And again, we're going back to that culture. Culturally, that's on our back, right? Culturally, we have to figure it out. Culturally, everybody is dependent upon us. But the truth of the matter is, that's something that has to be undone because that thought
Mm,
process is keeping a lot of us stuck and keeping a lot of us in situations that we no longer desire to be in, including being overweight. So self-prioritization is definitely one of those things that we talk about. Boundaries is another big thing that we cover a lot. Again, culturally, we just feel like we can take everything on, but you're allowed to say no, and you should, right? You should say no. If it doesn't bring you joy, if it doesn't make you happy, if it doesn't put you in a place where you are elevated in any way, say no. Like, say no. And these sound like easy things and kind of like nuances, or like, yeah, I know that. But when you think about the practice of your life, do you behave that way, right? Do you behave as if you know these things? Are these skills that you practice regularly? Are these things habits for you? Because they should be, so we also go into the strategy of weight loss in terms of eating and exercise and things like that, but mindset is primarily my home. So essentially dealing with the thoughts, the attitudes, and the beliefs that are keeping you from reaching your goals and becoming the woman that you want to be. Because that's the other thing. It's not, I always say it's about so much more than weight loss. Weight loss is kind of the center of this. A lot of people start this journey for weight loss, but once you start embarking on the journey, you realize that there's so much more in it. And weight loss is actually the byproduct of you finding yourself and of you getting to know yourself and of you, falling back in love with yourself. Weight loss is the byproduct of that process.
I love that. Falling back in love with yourself. That is a big thing. And to be quite honest, a lot of us don't even know what that looks like in the first instance, So even I would like to delve a bit into your journey, because that's one of the reasons why we've got you on the show. And, you started your journey of losing 289 pounds in 2018. Is that correct?
Well, I started at 289 pounds. I lost over 100 pounds.
Right, you lost over 100 pounds. Right.
And that was, in 2018.
So it's 2018. So prior to that, because you was doing it with a coach before, is that correct? So with you doing that, I'm just trying to get my my question properly, how I want to say this. With you doing that, what was actually going on with you at the time for you to have gained so much weight? Did you have children? Because I know obviously you were saying that you was a big girl in school days, but did you actually fluctuate in terms of your weight, or was it always just a bigger girl, or was it just something that it just went up and down?
So for the most part, I was always the bigger girl, the biggest sister, the biggest cousin, I was always the bigger girl. However, after grad school, I really had time to focus on, because I wasn't stressed out over school. And, at the time I didn't have any children. I wasn't married, so it was just me. So, I did lose weight. I can't remember how yes, I do remember, 222, because I was 222 when I met my husband. I remember that number. So, and that was in 2015. So I had gotten down to, and I mean, my largest at that time was maybe 250 or something, something like that. So I'd gotten down to 222. I liked the way that I looked. I was happy, all of that. Met my husband. That happy weight comes on. He starts to wind down.
Loved up time. That's why I have no man becoming no one, no man to put on no weight on my body. Sorry, let me just keep it constructive.
But yes, he started whining and dining me, and I love food, so I'm gonna eat the stuff. So so that whole process. So I gained a little bit of weight, but it wasn't anything too crazy. And then we ended up getting married, and within the year of us getting married, or about a little over a year, I got pregnant. So, of course, with pregnancy, weight goes up. I did not deny myself of anything. I was like, I don't know if this is ever going to happen again, so I'm going to enjoy this journey. So so I had, ate whatever, did whatever, didn't really exercise too much, and then my weight did balloon up. However, it was almost a year after I gave birth to my son when I hit my highest weight of 289 pounds. So I was bigger when I started my journey for the last time. I was bigger than I was when I gave birth to my son. Wow. So yes. So yes, I did gain weight with the pregnancy, but after I gave birth, it, for the most part, a good amount of it, came off. I probably got back down to 250, which was my comfortable fat weight, is what I used to call it. So I was, at 250. And then, like I said, I went back up to 289. Just, I completely wasn't focused on me. That attention shifted. I had a new husband. I had a new baby. We moved into a new house. I got a new job. All of these life transitions that are normal, right? That
Yeah.
happen. I realized that I had literally lost myself in all of those things. I was a caretaker to my mother. She had cancer for years. So all these, everybody needed me. So like that, and that's why I harp on self-prioritization so much. So everybody needed me. I was pulled in a million and one different directions. And because I wasn't focused on myself, my weight ballooned. And I felt so, I remember never feeling so out of control in my life. Like although I had these great things going, great things on paper, life was amazing, right? I should have been ecstatic and I was happy, but I was also empty and unfulfilled at the same time. So that feeling is what led me to say, you know what, I have to take some sort of control over my life. I need something that's for me, right? Like there's stuff for the baby, there's stuff for hubby, there's stuff for mom, but like what's for me? And I thought back and I remember that I always felt my best, even though I don't like the process. I've always felt my best when movement was a regular part of my life. And when I fed my body foods that it positively reacted to, that's when I always felt my best. So I'm like, well, let me go back to that, right? Because I know that if I go back to that, that's going to make me feel better. It's going to make me feel more in control because I have something that's just for me. And I also know that I'm going to lose some sort of weight, so that's what made me decide to go ahead and start again.
Wow, that's amazing. I love
Amazing.
that. I love
Yeah.
that. Yeah. I mean, because I think it's important that you do find that thing that is for you. Like you said, husband's got his thing, your child's got everybody's got their thing. And there's so many, especially when you become like a mother or you become a wife and there's a change, you become everything for everybody else, and as a woman, especially as a woman of color, we tend to be the backbone of the family. Do you get what I'm saying? So everybody's kind of suckling you. I think you can relate to this, Miss T, because obviously I'm not a mum, I'm not, anything like that. But what I've experienced and what I've witnessed is that the women is literally the backbone of everything, and sometimes you find that the women tends to be the one that lets themselves kind of go in the process of it all, because they're given to everybody else and not for themselves. So well done to you. But what I love so much about your movement is the fact that you are actually helping women. But what I also wanted to ask was a question, because I know there is some men on the live as well, and those who's catching the replay, is why is it only women? What about the men? What about the man then? Like, there's man out there that's obese and they need help. They need you, coach. I'm just saying, I'm sure your husband could come in on this thing as well. You two can just make this a family affair, a business, and just have the man's them. And, anyway, let me just.
Well, one, it would be amazing if my husband had any interest. That would be great.
Right.
He's like, yeah, that's your thing. You do your thing. I'm going to do my thing.
Okay.
But, I do know that there are definitely men who could benefit from my services. But I also believe that well, first of all, I am really passionate about helping people that were similarly positioned to me, right? So people that can really relate to these things that I'm teaching and these skills that I'm imparting to them. And the majority of those people happen to be Black women, right? That's the majority of those people. That doesn't mean that's the only demographic that I help. I have women in my programs that are not of color, that still receive great value. In terms of my communities, though, and my programs, my group coaching, it's important to me to have a safe space for women, though. So there's certain, and I've noticed this from, all type of different types of programs that I've done before. There's a different level of openness and vulnerability when there's just women in the room.
Yeah.
And because weight loss is something so personal and something that is very close to everyone's heart, I want to make sure that that safe space is available. So I'm not opposed to working with men. And as a therapist, of course, I had many male clients. But that would have to be on a one-to-one basis. In my open communities, I do specifically want it for women because I do want kind of that safe space.
Yeah, that makes sense. I
Yes.
respect that, because obviously if you're
Hmm.
dealing with, say, a woman that's dealing with, like, say, maybe domestic violence or anything of that nature, um, she will feel quite vulnerable to be in a position, because I know you do like group counseling as well. Is that correct? You do group
Yes.
sessions, etc. So if you are in a setting like that and you have a man there and there's a woman and she's, just quite vulnerable, yeah, I respect that. But in regards to and guys, if you're watching and you've just joined in, the topic is about secret to losing weight for good with Coach Aujile.
Aujile.
Aujile. Arjun, you know what, Arjun? I'm going to keep it real with you. I struggle pronouncing people's names. If it's not just simple
Really
names like
does.
Jane, Sam, Samantha, I struggle. God help me. If I have a child, I'm probably going to give it the most complicated name just to challenge myself every single day. I'm just saying. I might even call my child Aujile.
Aujile.
Aujile. Aujile. All right, I'm going to break this down. I'm going to get it correct by the end of the evening.
Phonetically. And while
I
you're
know.
doing that, I have another question for Coach.
Thank
So,
you.
Coach, what about those females that are going through their menopause?
Ooh.
Grace. We go back to grace, right?
Oh,
Because
okay.
people so often I hear, because that's something I hear often. I'm going through menopause. I lose weight so slow. What can I do? Right? You can keep going, right? Because in terms of losing weight slow, first of all, what determines speed? Who said how fast weight is supposed to come off? Like who determined that, right? So it's not about how fast you go, it's about how long you can stay the course. It's about this being sustainable. It's about you feeling better and you viewing yourself in a better light. So even if that means that you went 3 months and in the last 3 months you lost 5 pounds, if at the end of that 3 months, when you look in the mirror, if you are happier with the person that you see, when you sit alone with yourself at night, if you are more pleased and more at peace than you were previously, and you feel more joy in your heart throughout every day, you did exactly what you were supposed to do. I think we need to get out of this idea of thinking that weight loss is supposed to look a certain way. It's not one size fits all. This journey looks completely different for every person on it. And I think that we need to understand that, and in that process, give ourselves grace and just trust the process, and make sure you're focusing on the way that you feel as opposed to focusing on just the way that you look.
I love that. Thank
I
you.
love that
So
too.
I can tell by the way when I said to you menopause, so the women will come up with all different kinds of things that are preventing them, or so what are some of the things that they will come up with that you say, Grace? Just give us some examples, please.
So menopause is definitely one of them. I also get people saying that, I have a lot going on in my home, so I can't make it to the gym, which that's not a requirement. First of all, it's great if you can, make it to the gym, but you can lose weight without ever stepping foot in a gym. You can lose weight without doing a single exercise, to be completely honest.
I don't know.
That's so that exactly. So I don't have a gym membership. I can't make it to the gym. Another thing that people say is, oh, I'm over 40. I get that one a lot. Can you help me? I'm over 40. Absolutely. Absolutely. This thing doesn't just stop at, once you hit 30, I can't help you anymore. Not at all. In fact, my target audience is women ages 30 to 50, right? And of course, I have women younger than that. I have women older than that. But that is my target audience. Those are the people who I'm specifically seeking to help, because those are usually those people that are being pulled in a million and one different ways, and that have so much stuff on their plate that they're trying to accomplish and that they're trying to get done. Whether they, Kaz, I know that you mentioned that you don't have any children, but still, I'm sure that there are other people that you pour yourself into. I'm sure that there are other people that get probably more time and attention than they should from So
Yeah.
so that's, so those sort of situations, it's funny because we often feel like we are the exception, like, oh, this works for everybody else, but it's not going to work for me because I have this particular situation. It probably will work for you, and your situation is probably not nearly as unique as you think it is. I probably either have worked with or are currently working with someone who is in the exact same position as you. And if it's not something that like you need to seek medical attention for, or, some sort of underlying condition that you need additional assistance with, then we can work through it together. Because the good thing about the skills that I teach, because these skills were primarily transferred from me being a therapist, they're transferable, right? These are skills that are going to work regardless of your situation. We're working on your mind. And once you change your mind, then everything else is going to follow.
Amazing. Coach Aujile, got it right. I believe, did I get it right just then?
You did.
Praise the Lord. Hallelujah. Ding. For those who are just joining and you just want to see that we have got a boss lady, Coach Aujile, with us right now. You see, when I get somebody's name right, I just start to say their name like very frequently. One of them. I'm that person. I'm going to show you the results of Coach Aujile. Now, look at this, guys. Look at the transformation.
Phenomenal.
That is just absolutely amazing. And you know something, when I saw your story pop up, I don't even know the reason it just came. I was like, who is this woman? How did she do this work? I've been struggling with just a little piece of work, and you've just done a whole £100. And to see your results, and you're still looking buff. When I say buff, I don't know if you guys get that in the US. Buff meaning that you look good.
Thank
You
Thank
look
you.
good. Like your husband's feeling like, yeah. You know them ways there, like he's just feeling like like he's feeling like a king right now. But that's amazing work. And our platform is a platform to inspire, and there is some questions and there is some comments I'm going to go through as well. Just want to big up to everybody that's tuned in. Naomi Gray said, giving myself grace is key. The times that I haven't, and I've beaten myself up for eating something I'm not supposed to, I ended up eating more.
That's exactly what's going to happen. And that's why it's so important that we do give ourselves grace, because it's a cycle, it's a pattern, right? So we need to break that pattern and interrupt it and replace it with something else. So instead of that pattern of I ate something, so I feel bad, so I ate more, so I feel bad, then I ate more, and then I feel bad. Instead of that pattern, we need to break it and interrupt it by giving ourselves grace and say, I ate something. Now I'm going to pause, think about it, analyze what happened, and then figure out my next steps.
Yeah, because obviously it's a programming as well. It's like unlearning a behavior. It's just like anything. And as I'm saying it, I'm actually telling it really to myself, because I tend to beat myself up, not just about food, but just about just general things on a whole. And we've got to remember, especially for those who's like in their 30s and above, that we've been programmed to think and to behave in a certain way. So it's going to take time and practice to unlearn those behaviors, because unfortunately, it's for many of us, our parents, our environment didn't really educate us to think or to behave in a different type of way. I do have a question as well, which I wanted to ask was, what was it? What is like what is the main demeanor you find with the women who are struggling to lose weight? What is the common like behavior that you're finding from them?
The most common, meaning like the behaviors that need to be broken.
Yeah.
Well, definitely putting other people's needs before the needs of their own. As I mentioned, that's definitely something they struggle with. They also struggle with trusting themselves a lot of times. Like, sometimes they don't even trust themselves around certain foods because they feel like that food is just going to completely derail them, or they don't trust themselves in certain environments, because they feel like that environment is going to, completely derail them. And while it is important to be mindful of the people, places, and things in our life, it's also important to make sure that we're not avoiding these things out of fear. right? And that we're not avoiding these things because lack of trust in ourselves. We want to make sure, again, that these are mindful decisions that we're making. So if you're saying that, every time so another thing I should mention is there's a lot of connection between certain behaviors. So for example, you mentioned watching a movie, right? So you're watching a movie and you usually eat a certain food you were mentioning. So that is that, so a lot of times that's a link, right? You associate movies, right? A lot of times in the US, we associate movies with this hot buttery popcorn, so those, we have those associations. So that's another behavior that often needs to be broken, is those behavior associations. Those, well, every time I see this person or every time I see these friends, I have 10 drinks with them. And those are 10 drinks that I probably shouldn't have. Or every time I go to this particular place, I know that I end up getting a double cheeseburger and a large fry. So again, it's breaking those associations, but also taking the time to step back and analyze them and figure out what exactly is going on. And we unfortunately don't take the time to do that, because that time we usually freely offer to other people instead of giving it to ourselves. If we gave it to ourselves, then we would have the time to actually dig deep and figure out what's going on with ourselves, actually rediscover ourselves, and actually realize that we're pretty dope people.
Yeah.
That's it, isn't it? You have to, that mindset of investing in yourself. Because I know as a mum, one of the things that I always had, I love food. And what I found that it was very emotional for me. So when I was happy, I'd eat. When I was sad, I'd eat. And any other time, I was just eating. But then when I had the children, it was a thing of, oh, they've left something on their plate. I don't really want to waste it. So I'd eat that as well, rather than get myself something fresh. And it was just like, you know what? No, I need to, something happened where I just had to say to myself, I've had enough of this. I need to treat myself, be kinder to myself. That's the word that came up in my mind. Like, you're kind to everybody else apart from yourself.
Absolutely. And that's not uncommon. That's not uncommon at all. Like we give other people our time, we give other people our energy, we give other people our kindness, we give other people our money, and then we won't even invest in something that is, is for us. So absolutely. And actually, you saying that just made me think, a lot of times our parents will tell us growing up, I know mine did, the comment, eat all your food because they're starving kids in Africa. Have you heard that one?
Yeah.
I used to get it all the time.
Yeah. Or there's people out there that don't have what you have and you're just wasting food. You think that money grow upon tree? Eat up your food. Yeah.
Exactly. And we don't realize how that affects us growing up, though, because then we get older and we legitimately feel like we have to eat every single thing on our plate, or our children, right? We have to eat our children's plate that they left over, because God forbid that we waste food, we can't do that. And then we have these giant size meals and we have to clean our plate because it's been ingrained in us that if we don't eat all the food, then we're ungrateful or we're doing something improper.
Yeah. Absolutely. Sam on Instagram said, yes. Oh, yes, the kids play 100%. She can definitely relate to that as well. Yeah. And she's a mom as well. She's a mom of two. So I'm sure she can relate to that. And, I've even been guilty. I've even had godchildren or even children with me. And I'm just like, what? Do you not know that there's people out there starving? Like, could you eat all their food? But then I think to myself, and sometimes we forget as well that the child may not be eating the food because it actually irritates them as well. So, we can't assume that because we think say the greens is all right or the banana is all right, that it's not actually having an impact on the child. So we should also ask the questions, why you're not eating that? Do you not like it?
They might be full. They might not be hungry.
Yeah, they might even just be full.
And then we're forcing them. Forcing them to eat.
Absolutely. I always tell my son, I said, you never have to finish your plate. When you're done eating, we can save it for later. That's what I
Yeah.
always tell him. And he has no problem. Like, and sometimes he'll like take one bite out of something and be like, "Mommy, I'll save this for later." I'm like, "Okay, whatever."
So Brenda A. Lee says, okay, how to get on the program?
Yes.
Because you've got an upcoming event. Brenda Lee, you're actually just like going ahead of us. Like,
I know.
we're getting there. Like, she's actually rushing us. Like,
All right, ladies. How do we get on the program?
Get to the point. So you've got an upcoming event taking place. Is that correct?
Yes.
So if you can give us more information, and then obviously we can share it with those who are watching that may be interested in joining the program itself.
Sure, absolutely. So right now I am enrolling for the Weight Loss Mindset Makeover. The Weight Loss Mindset Makeover is an 8-week group coaching program. It's very intimate. I'm capping it at 16 people. Like, that is the max. I really want to do 14, but I will allow 16. So a very intimate group environment. It will be virtual. We'll have weekly meetings, and during these weekly meetings, we'll be doing mindset coaching where I will break it down and teach those skills that I mentioned. We'll be going over one of those skills each week. And not only that, but there will be implementation as well. So it's not just like a lecture style. It will be, come on, we're going to talk about where you are right now. I'm going to present you with the information and that you need in order to move to your next step. And then here's your homework in order to move to the next step. And then next week, we'll unpack that and talk about where you are and move on to the next lesson. So it's very involved. There's also a private chat that is held via Telegram. So we will all have access to one another and be able to ask questions and get additional support via private chat. The group is specifically for women who have had previous success in their weight loss journey, but found themselves in a position where they gained the weight back. So the goal of this program is to give you the skills and the mindset that you need in order to lose weight for good. So in order to keep going on your journey and to do it in a practical and sustainable way. So that is who the program is for. If anyone wants additional information, you can go to eatcleanish.com, which is my website, /WLMM, which is for Weight Loss Mindset Makeover. So eatcleanish.com /WLMM. That will give you access to the sales page that has all the details and information. And it does include a bonus, which is a one-to-one session with me, which is actually a wonderful bonus because not only will you be getting that one-to-one support in a group coaching capacity. So even though we're in a group, of course, if you have any questions, I address you, directly, but you also get that individualized time to really delve into whatever particular issue that you are particularly struggling with, to really give you that boost for your journey. So the doors do close for that though on Friday. So we're like right on the brink. Right on.
And how much is it for the program itself?
It's $19.99, so $1,999. I don't know how that translates in pounds. And then, or the other option would be monthly payments. So you could do 3 payments of $699. So you have 2 different payment options.
All right, guys. So do go over. I've just put in the website. It's www.eatcleanish.com, and you can actually connect with Coach Aujile. And did I not say it right this time? Oh God, help me. Aujile. Yeah, Coach Aujile. God help me. Listen, I'm just gonna end up giving you a nickname.
Let's talk about the name, Coach Aujile. Where is it from?
Yeah, where's it from?
I don't know. My mom just came up with it. I don't even know the back. She told me that it means sophisticated, pretty princess in Swahili. But I've learned that a lot of Black mothers lie to their kids. So I don't know if that's true.
Listen, we're going to go with what your mom said, yeah? Because if that's what your mom said, that's the meaning behind it. And we receive it and we accept it and we run with that. Coach Aujile. Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So you've also got an ebook as well. Can you give us a bit more information regarding the ebook? What does that entail, and how can our viewers, listeners, how can they actually purchase the ebook itself? Absolutely. And what does it entail?
Absolutely. So the ebook is called How to Lose Weight Without Depriving Yourself of the Foods That You Love. And that's exactly what it tells you about. I spoke a little bit about what eating cleanish is, and that really breaks it down in that book, kind of simplifies it, explains why some of the previous your previous attempts at dieting might not have worked, and offers a more simple and realistic approach to eating. And that is $7. So it's very affordable for everyone. And that I just wanted a low level entry point so people can get an understanding and knowledge that you don't have to be restrictive when you're trying to lose weight and eat. You don't have to be repetitive. It doesn't have to be complicated. You don't need to, whip out your calculator every time you want to take a bite of food. There's a much simpler approach, and that is what this ebook is offering.
Excellent. And how can they actually purchase your book? Do they need to just go over to your website? Will the book be there? Okay, so everything is on the website, guys.
Yep.
Glem's made a comment. She said, I do believe successful weight loss is a mind over matter thing. Do you agree? Which I would imagine you would. Yeah.
Absolutely. Like, really, once you change your mind, like, you literally can change anything about your circumstances. Like, you can change your entire life once you master it, once you master your mindset.
Yeah, because even like for myself, and this is not necessarily about like weight loss, but just with everything in terms of, like our thoughts are so like it's so powerful. And I wanted to kind of like get your views on this, because obviously you've been a mental health professional. Why do you feel that it's only now that we're kind of like being more like awoke to this new, not even new, but I guess a kind of like a new way of thinking in terms of understanding our mind and how powerful it is? Because even when I was growing up in a Christian home, we didn't really talk about, the mind or your language being so powerful. And like, God hasn't given me a spirit of fear, but power, love, and a sound mind. There wasn't really any emphasis on that when I was growing up, until like later on as an adult, when I start to go on my own spiritual journey. That's when I'm starting to realize how powerful the mind is, but how we tend to have this chatter going on within the mind. Because like I mentioned before, when I started a detoxing journey, and because I'm used to eating certain snacks on a Friday night, it was like a behavior. But then again, in my mind, it was just like, just have it. Like, it was just like, just eat it. Who's going to know? Nobody's going to know. That was a talk that was going on. And if I did like kneel down to it, then I wouldn't have really done the work that I've successfully done. But how do you help those with those type of internal chatter that's going on within? And I guess this question is really for myself.
Okay. Well, so it was kind of two parts. So the first part of your question is, why is this kind of coming about now? Like, why is it now suddenly so popular, mindset and things like that? I really believe that has that is in large part due to the acceptance of mental health treatment and therapy. Even so, when I first started as a therapist, it wasn't widely accepted, right? It wasn't, like I said, this was a little over 10 years ago. So it wasn't, my like my and I grew up in a very strict Christian household as well. And my mom, although she supported everything that I did, she kind of viewed it as like that kind of hogwash stuff a little bit. Like, if you would just pray about it, you ain't got to go to therapy type of thing. So I think, and I feel like a lot of people kind of, felt that way. And this generation now is very openly like, I go to therapy, or my therapist said. And I think the opening up of the world to mental health and accepting that mental health is a thing and mental health matters, especially in Black and Brown communities. I think that is why now there's a lot more talk about the power of the mind and our thoughts and our belief systems and things like that. So I believe that's where that is primarily stemming from.
Yeah.
And then the second part of your question, the mental chatter. So negative self-talk is something that we all struggle with. Whether
Why
it's
does it feel sometimes you feel like you're the only person that's dealing with it?
because people don't talk about it, right? And that's
But I'm the
one
only,
of the things
I feel
that's
like I'm the only person who's got a big mouth and chat about my negativity. Like I just feel, because sometimes like I'm always putting status up like I just feel like this and I just wish this negative chat would stop going on. And it's like almost everybody's like, oh, who cares? She's going through whatever. So you feel like you're alienated. It's like just you one going through it. And I know it's not just me one going through it, because people say, they would private DM me and things like that. But it's just, I don't know, sometimes I feel that because I'm so vocal about it, and maybe it's because I live alone, maybe that's the reason why, but it does feel like as if it's just you one going through it, or it's just you and you just can't, or there's other people but they can cope more better than you can cope with it. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. But I will also say that that's also not true, right? So sometimes, so a lot of times the things that we believe, we automatically accept them as truths. But the truth of the matter is your belief is simply a story that you're telling yourself. So if you are telling yourself that I am the only one experiencing this, no one else is experiencing this, I'm in this world all alone in this experience, then that is going to be your belief, right? But just like you made up, I mean, and making up sounds bad, but in reality, you made up that story, right? Your mind conjured up that story. Your mind can also conjure up an opposite story, right?
Yeah.
So just like you have the power to come up with, oh, no one else is going through this, you also have the power to tell your mind the opposite and say, there have to be other people that are experiencing this. And maybe that would lead you to go find those particular people, go find your tribe, go find those people that are okay with openly discussing the things that they're experiencing internally, right? So it's and same thing with that negative self-talk. It's normal. It's normal. We have to understand that our mind is designed to protect us from perceived threats, right? So if your mind sees a perceived threat, and perceived is the important part here because it's not always a threat, right? It could be like, girl, nothing's going to happen to you if you eat this apple, right? Nothing's like, you're not going to die. You're going to be okay. But, again, we start having those negative thoughts, right? We get on the scale and the scale went up a pound. Now all of a sudden, oh my gosh, like I must have not been working hard enough. I must have not been eating, enough vegetables. I must have not did this right. It's always internal, right? And it turns into something is wrong with me. Like if you have a thought and that thought leads you to the end conclusion of something is wrong with me, you can identify that as a negative thought. Like that is what negative self-talk is in the root of it, right? So in order to combat that, or one of the ways you can combat that is really easy, that anybody here can try for any sort of situation, is whenever you have a negative thought, then come up with 7 positive things that counteract that and write them down. Like actually write them down. So then it comes to your mind and it really starts to sink in, because when you start to really dwell on those positives, or you start to really dwell on the contrasting thoughts to that negative thought, it'll start to sink in. And if you keep doing that, it'll come more and more natural. And then you'll get to the point where as soon as you have the negative thought, you'll automatically be able to dismiss it and replace it with one of those other thoughts.
Right. Because one of the techniques that I've been using, I don't know if you're aware of late Louise Hay. So Louise Hay, she's myself and Iola. Well, she's Iola's godmother, and she's my auntie. We say that she's actually passed on, and she's this beautiful Caucasian woman that I found online, and her teaching is absolutely amazing. And if anybody is going through any challenges, do check out Louise Hay. She's got tons of audio books, tons of affirmations and things like that, and you can hear her story and you will really be moved by her. Well, one of the things that I found with her, what she was saying is that when you do get that negative thought, that negative conversation going in your head, rather than dismiss it, just say, stop, and just say, thank you for sharing. It's as simple as that. And I've done that. Literally, I've caught it and I will say, thank you for sharing. And then with me saying thank you for sharing, then I will then, depending on what that thought was, then I will maybe say, okay, so today this is what I'm going to do, because I'm not dismissing it, but it's just kind of like I'm aware of the thoughts, but I'm not really given any power, if that makes sense. So I'm just like, thank you for sharing, because we always constantly have negative thoughts coming through our head. I think a therapist said it was like about 87% or 90 something percent of our thoughts are negative. And I'm just like, what? And even when we had a mental health awareness event, one of the psychiatrists, therapists, I mean, she shared that how 90% of our thinking is negative, and the majority of the people in the audience was like, what? Like, how could that be? But then when you think about it, even yourself, Miss T, we had this conversation, you was like, I don't really agree with that, do you know what I mean, kind of thing. But apparently, according to research, it's true. Do you agree with that or disagree?
So that percentage is really, really high. I don't know what the percentage actually is, but if that is what the data says, I wouldn't be surprised by it. We definitely do have a lot of negative thoughts. We, of course, don't always entertain them. Some of them are easier to kind of dismiss and, not worry about than others. Some really, really bother us because, again, they connect with that core belief of something being wrong with us, right? So those are the ones that usually get that more of our attention. And even if you think about negative thoughts about other people, if we're talking about negative thoughts as a whole, I could see how that could be the case. We think this isn't going to work out right, or this person's out to get me, or I don't trust this situation. But again, we have to think about what our mind does, right? Our mind is supposed to protect us from perceived threats. So if that is the job of our mind, it makes sense that it's constantly on defense. Like that makes sense. So I'm definitely not surprised by that.
Yeah. But another, I know we're kind of going somewhere else, but obviously we're dealing with like the minds, and obviously, your counselor dealing with minds and, weight loss, etc. And that's all a part of it, because it all starts from up there. But what was I going to say? Gosh, I just kind of like lost my train of thoughts. How, like, why do you think, like, because I think, like, when you think about, say, children, like, say, babies, they don't really have negative thoughts, I don't believe. So how is it that when you become, like, say, a certain kind of age, teenager, or like, like from the age of like 7 or 9 onwards, then we start to develop these types of thinking? Do you know what I mean? Where do you think that stems from?
So again, it goes back to our mind's job is to protect us from perceived threats. When you're a baby, there really aren't much perceived threats other than I might not eat, which that thought doesn't come until there's a situation where the baby is hungry and not fed, right? So that's when that thought of I might not get, I'm hungry and I might not get this food in a timely manner, or this food is not coming. So now I'm going to scream at the top of my lungs until someone brings this food here. Right. So that it comes from our experience. So the more we live, the longer we've lived, the more negative experiences we've been exposed to. So then the more our mind feels that it has to fight on our behalf.
But then that's interesting, because then when I think what happened just now when you're saying that, I'm thinking about, say, people of color, like ourselves and our parents and what our ancestors, what they went through in terms of slavery. So how, I mean, gosh, like, how did they survive?
Because they changed their mindset. Like their mindset, like if you think about, people being on slave ships singing songs from their heart, like just that concept is mind-blowing, because how can you sing and you're
that?
Right. But again, it's about the mindset. It's about this is my circumstance right now. This is where I am, and I'm going to make the most of it. I'm going to make the best of it. Even though this is where I am physically, mentally, I'm somewhere out on a beach right now, laying on the sand. So it speaks again to the power of the mind. Your mind really, your thoughts are your reality. Right. So if I am thinking that this is going to be okay, then it's gonna be okay. You've seen people in like terrible situations and they're still like, you know what? Like my mom was a big one. Again, I said my mom had cancer, and my mom, Every time you asked her, how are you doing? She said the same thing every time. Oh, I'm blessed. Oh, I'm blessed. My mom always had a smile on her face. My mom was always ready to give. And even regardless of what she had, that's just who she was, because mentally, she was just in a different space. She was not going to allow for life circumstances to bring her down. She was going to live the life that she was given. And that's exactly what she did.
Yeah. But then I love that, and that makes sense, because in order for us to be here, our ancestors, their mindset would have had to shift from their circumstance for them to be able to survive the ordeal that they went through. And even when you think about it, even for what we're currently going through, our mindset has to go to a certain place for us to be able to continue. I mean, even you look at, like, say, with COVID-19, we didn't know what was going on, but we're not saying all right. But, it's either you became creative, or you became very fearful, or, you adapt, or, do you know what I mean? Kind of thing, or you was living in fear mode, So how was you during that time as well, in terms of, like, because obviously you was going through your weight loss journey back in 2018. So you was going through that during that time. How was that for you during that time as well?
So it was tough for me because I had grown to love the gym, and we did not have access to the gym anymore. And I didn't realize until I wasn't able to go. That's when I realized like how much the gym did for me. It was more than just, okay, I'm doing this exercise. It was, so going back to like when I first started my journey, the thought of going in a gym, first of all, I didn't want to be in there because I didn't want people to look at me. Right. And then, like, lifting, there's always the guys that are like by the lifting stuff. And then, I didn't want to go over there because I'm like, I'm going to be lifting my little 5 pounds. They're lifting their like 100 pounds, like, all of that. But I got to the point, and this is pre-pandemic, I got to the point where I had built up the confidence to where I walked in that gym with my head held high. I was saying good morning to the people that worked there. I was, and other people were looking at me like, "Oh, who is she? Where is she?" So going to the gym was kind of like a reminder to the old me of like, you did this, right? Like you're okay. Like you're here. So losing that, it was more of an emotional experience than I thought it was going to be. Like many people during the pandemic, during the height of the pandemic, I gained like 20 pounds. I was able to get, those 20 pounds off. So it wasn't anything like I was too worried about. But absolutely, I did gain weight. Life was very different. I went from, typically going to work every day and kind of having that set routine to now I'm in the house and the refrigerator is 7 steps away from me. So it was very different. We didn't know what was going to happen. So emotionally, we're just everywhere. And, like Miss T said, I'm an emotional eater too, so I can 100% relate to that. So at that time with that uncertainty, I was eating and eating. So things really were crazy for me, but it was also in the height of the pandemic that I built this business.
Wow.
So it kind of, it really is about like, this is the situation you're given. Now, what are you going to do? So I wallowed and cried and what's going to happen? And woe is me. I did that. But then it came to the point where I'm like, no, we really don't know what's going to happen. So what you going to do? Like, what's your next move? And that's when I started coaching.
Amazing.
Miss T.
You have to excuse me, I'm fighting. I'm having bad thoughts about my cat right now. Like really negative ones. Like we're actually having a thing right now. I actually threw some water at her. Please leave me alone. Please leave me alone. And as I've done that, she's gone from that side, come all the way around. She's done it twice. So sorry about that.
I think she just wants to be in a show. She does this every single week, babe.
She does every single week.
I think what you should do is...
She troubles me anyway, but it's like when she sees me sitting here doing this, she's just like, what is this woman doing now? Yeah. So
I think you should...
Prodding, pushing, cussing. It's me and my cat.
Why don't you just create an Instagram page for her, for the cat, and so that she can be a part of the show, because clearly we can't fight it anymore. She wants to be a part of it.
Listen,
She wants
Kaz,
to be a
the people,
host.
them, you know how people love cats, innit? They'll probably forget about me and you and be on the cat.
Yeah, but we
Okay.
just bring them back in. Yeah. So do you have any questions? Does the cat have any questions?
There's a cat. Do you know what? The cat has been on a weight loss journey as well, actually. I'm being very serious.
Was she quite big?
No. I used to overeat, and pretty much I used to overfeed the cat as well.
Wow.
Ooh, that's interesting.
It is interesting. I didn't before any of you come, I didn't overfeed my children. They're very decent, healthy size. They're good. Well balanced. I suppose my only questions are in terms of thinking about the way it just comes back to mind. Everything comes back to mindset across the board, I think, and getting your mind and your environment up there healthy just kind of like makes everything else healthy. And I can only speak from my own experience, where I realized that that's what I had to do. Like, the issues that I had around food stemmed from childhood, from in particular my father doing that whole thing, like clean the plate, yam it, no, like I don't want to see a grain of rice left. And it was so ingrained in me that like it became a fearful thing, like, oh, if I don't eat it, oh, you know, and this sense of lack mentality as well, you know. So it was all very much connected, and I'm just very grateful that I was able to work out a lot of these things for myself. But I think that most people, yeah, I think we've already been given, we already have everything we need inside us. We already have the tools. But some people need to have a wonderful coach like Coach Aujile, you know? I don't really have any more questions. I'm just really grateful that there's somebody like you, Coach, that has, you know, sorted out a business and you're helping thousands of women. Because unfortunately, you know, not everybody has access. But if they got access to you, they're onto a winner, they're onto a great thing. So yeah.
And going back to your program, how many weeks is the program going to be running for?
8 weeks.
8 weeks. Okay. And is that 8 weeks, or is that 3 times a week, or just once a week that they will meet up?
We meet up once a week for 8 weeks. And then we have that group chat for the ongoing conversation.
Brilliant. Okay, guys. So make sure you do connect. And the last date for you to actually make your payment will be this Friday. That's Friday the 26th. Yeah, the 26th, isn't it? The 26th of August. So if you are catching this on a replay and we have gone past that date, by all means, do still connect with Coach Aujile. Aujile. You know what? Oh, God, I'm really, you know what? Now I feel really embarrassed because I'm just like, child, you need to get with it. I think I need to get some like kind of pronunciation teaching course or something. Maybe it's just the time that I'm doing the lives. I don't know. I can't even make an excuses. I'm actually embarrassed now. I'm really, I sincerely apologize. I'm really just like, I'm having an internal conversation with myself, and I'm looking at your name and I'm writing it and I'm still getting it incorrect. I mean, what is that? Can we talk about that?
Yeah, we just need to. You said that you were going to do it phonetically, so you just break it down into 3 parts.
I did. Lay. Just lay.
No, you didn't. You missed out the middle bit.
Aujile. Aujile. What? Oh God, am I making an idiot of myself live? God.
Aujile.
And the thing is, I pronounce it every now and then. Aujile. So R-A-U, then J, lay. Okay, J-I-L, and then L-E. Okay, Aujile. God, I literally have to break things down. It's not funny. I wonder if it's, do you think maybe, is this what dyslexic people have issue with? Because I'm thinking maybe I might got mild dyslexia or something.
No, they read it backwards.
Oh, so then that's not even an excuse. So I'm just like, I don't know.
Oh, actually, yes, you're cleanish. Do you have what
Thanks,
kinds of
Christy.
what kinds of foods do you have on your menu? You mentioned that you like mac and cheese, but what else are some of your favorite kind of like foods that are like,
All
yeah,
right. So I love food. So I am a barbecue girl. So I really like burnt ends are my favorite food in the whole world. Do you guys have
what's
burnt
that?
ends?
Did you say
What?
burnt ends?
Burnt ends. Yeah.
What's
Okay,
burnt
So
ends? What is that?
it's
Barbecue
it's
please.
you have brisket?
brisket.
Okay,
Like,
well, yeah, it's beef.
It's beef. Yes, so it's beef. And it's like I don't know how to describe it, but they're basically like chunks of beef. I don't know what part of beef it is, and it's like the perfect mix of like meat and fat. It's I don't know, so it's really really good. But they barbecue it, so I do like barbecue. I love shrimp. I love sushi.
Okay.
Um, what else? I am so I'm a big fan of mac and cheese, but not only do I not eat it often, but I also don't eat everybody's mac and cheese.
Mm.
did you hear what I said? My sister makes, to me, the best mac and cheese. El Pedro makes a good mac and cheese. Ria makes certain people. I don't even know what you're giving me, but that's not mac and cheese that I'm familiarized with. It
Yes.
just doesn't make no sense. There's more pasta than there is cheese. I don't get it.
Yes. And it needs to be like, cheesy. Like don't
Yeah, like creamy and
they make it dry. It's yeah. So yeah, I don't eat everybody's mac and cheese, but I do love mac and cheese. I love sweet potatoes. I love vegetables too. Like I like a variety of vegetables. Like mushrooms I love, carrots, peppers, onions. Like I try to I have a pretty wide flavor palette, thankfully. So and I'm also not afraid to try something. Like I'll try something once. If I don't like it, I'll be done with it. But I'm open to trying new foods as well. Recently I have tried tempeh, which is a vegan meat type situation. I think it's actually beans, is what it actually is. I've tried tempeh, and I do like that. I've also tried like turnip fries. I love turnip fries.
What are
Uh,
turkey fries?
so you just cut a turnip into like fries. You just cut them up into like in the shape of fries.
Are you talking about the vegetable turnip?
the vegetable
Yes,
turn up.
yes,
Oh,
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 okay.
that's interesting. I'm gonna
yes.
have to try that.
Yeah,
I
and
don't
they
know.
taste like do you have an air fryer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. So take a turnip, chop it up like like it's French fries, and
You
and
seasoning.
yeah, yep, season them up. I pretty much put the same like core seasoning on everything, which is garlic powder, onion powder, salt, pepper. That's pretty much like I put on everything. So
Yeah.
season them up and put some, toss them in olive oil, put them in the air fryer. They're gonna be
Oh,
Have
very
you
good.
got? Do you have a cookbook as well, Coach?
I don't, but let me tell you why so many people ask me that. I don't because I don't measure anything.
you're like me. I don't measure anything apart from when I'm baking.
Yes,
Only
exactly.
time. Everything else, make this look good. Rub that in together. That's how it's supposed to look. I never measure anything. Never. So when the people say, "Oh, how do you make it?" Like, I can't even help you.
That's
These are the ingredients. Work it out.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. That would my cookbook would just be a picture of what it is and a list of the ingredients, and that's all I got for you. Because and then the other thing is I'm also an experimental cooker. I make
Yeah.
my best dishes when I have very little groceries in the house. Because it turns into like a game show. Like I'm like, okay, you have these
I love
5
it.
items. What can you make? So that's very hard to duplicate because it's just random stuff that I just make up and it tastes good and it's good for me.
Mhm.
Naomi Gray made a comment. She said, "This conversation has come at a great time for me as I restart my weight loss journey, been addressing many things within me that have been holding me back. Thank you for having this talk, ladies." You're most welcome.
Yay! I love that.
And Brenda Ailey says, feel the fear and do
do
it.
it anyway.
Yes.
Louise
And
Hay.
Louise Hay. Like, literally, guys, do check out Louise Hay. Her stuff online is just absolutely phenomenal, and you won't regret it. You know, like, she's really helped to shift my mindset in so many ways, especially with regards to the conversations that we're having this evening, talking about the power of our mind. And, you know, in order for you to achieve what you've actually achieved, Coach Oh, Aujile.
Well
Did I
done.
say it?
Yeah.
Aujile. But then I did that earlier, then it went to the left.
It's when
It went down. I think, you know what it is? That is another thing. I overthink. So, you know, when you're overthinking, you want it to be perfect, and then you mess up, and then it's like inside you now beating yourself up, then you're having this whole thing, and then before.
Grace.
Thank you. It was on the tip of my tongue. It was on the tip of my
Yeah.
tongue. Give yourself grace.
Yeah, but sometimes you're just thinking, how much grace are you going to give yourself? Like, child, like, you broke
As much as you need.
As much, exactly. Thank you, Coach. Tell her.
I love that. You know what? You know what? I think I need you, Coach, in my life, just to be like my alarm clock. You know, just give me grace. It's okay to just lay down in bed for another 5 minutes and press the snooze button. It's not the end of the world, because I beat myself up if there's 20 minutes and I've snoozed, and then it becomes 2 hours, and then everything's a mess.
But beating yourself up about it doesn't help you then recover that time.
That's very true. That is so true. It doesn't. Yeah, but I just want to say thank you so much for your time this evening. Is there anything else that any inspirational tip that you would like to leave with our listeners and those who are catching the replay?
I think the most important thing to understand is that if you're doing weight loss the right way, it is about so much more than weight loss. There's so much more that you can actually gain. Like, there's more to gain than there actually is to lose, regardless of how many pounds you have to lose. There's always still more to gain. So focus or shift your focus. Stop focusing on what it is that you have to lose and focus on what you can potentially gain. Also, stop focusing on the pounds, right? We know that we want to lose weight, but stop focusing on the actual weight itself, and instead focus on the actual process, and the patterns that we are trying to build and the patterns that we're trying to break. So just kind of shifting your focus, and also understand that, you know, I work with women who are looking to lose weight long term. So there are a million and one other people you can work with if you're trying to lose weight quickly. If you're trying to, I just want to snatch my belly, and, I just want a small waist, and, there's plenty of other people to work with for that. But if you're looking for practical and sustainable weight loss, and if you're looking for the tools that you can actually use and continuously pull out of your toolbox so you can keep going when life gets tough, because it's going to get tough, right? Life happens. We know that. But if you're looking for the skills of how you can shift your mindset in order to make sure that you are able to stay in this thing for the long haul, because this is a lifelong journey. You might not be seeking weight loss all your life, but you are seeking self-improvement, and you are seeking self-development and personal development. And that's really what this is all about. So if you're in that position and that's something that you are ready to do, and you're ready to move forward and take that step for the last time, then I'm your girl, and I would be more than happy to assist you.
And so, do you do like one-to-one sessions as well as obviously doing a collective program? So, what does your price start from in terms of like one-to-one sessions?
So there's two options for one-to-one sessions. There's just a one-time one-to-one breakthrough session, which is where we sit down and we talk about the mental barriers that you're facing today. And I give you next steps in order to help you move through that particular struggle. So that would be if, like, you're pretty much on track, but then an event happened and you just need to kind of get back on track, then that would be what a breakthrough session is. Or, I don't know what it is that I'm actually struggling with. Can you help me identify that? Absolutely. That would be a breakthrough session. So breakthrough sessions are $349. And like I said, that's one session, the 1 50-minute session. The alternative, which is what most of my one-to-one clients actually do, is they get into the 6-month container. So we work together one-on-one for 6 months, and the frequency would depend on your needs. We always start with weekly. But then, if you don't need as much support, and then we will move to bi-weekly or move to monthly, or what have you. But it's 6 months of essentially full access to me. You get text, you actually get my phone number. You can text me, like, all of that, to make sure that you have what it is that you need. Again, weekly homework to make sure that you're implementing. You actually get the recording of the actual session as well. So then you can go back and listen to it and pull nuggets out at another time that you might need to. And also during that 6 months, any programs that I run during that time, you're automatically enrolled into any of those programs during that time. And the 6-month container is currently $4,999.
Amazing. So, guys, do get in contact with Coach Aujile, where you could actually take part in any of her programs, which would be suitable and beneficial. Because obviously, when you do go through this journey, I noticed that Naomi made a comment, Tremaine's also made a comment, says, great show, needed this, also starting to make better food choices for sustainable weight loss from September onwards. So, sometimes it's not easy doing it like, by yourself, because sometimes you do need that coach to actually help you, because you had a coach initially and you couldn't really afford to have the coach, but you still went and had a coach. How beneficial was it for you to have a coach?
It was honestly really, really beneficial. So even though after I was done with that coaching relationship, I decided to do my journey a little bit differently, and really tailor it to me. The things that I gained from that coaching experience were really helpful. As well as I learned the opposite side. Like, this is what I don't want for my journey, and this is what I do want for my journey. These are the things that were helpful for me. These were the things that weren't helpful for me. And if I wouldn't have had that coaching experience, I wouldn't have been able to identify those things. I wouldn't have been able to, like, that experience really helped me to get to know me at a deeper level, which is absolutely something that I needed, not just for my personal journey, but also, of course, for my coaching journey as well.
Amazing. Miss T, do you have any last words before we?
Do you know what is? I think you said that one size doesn't fit all. So for some reason, that's going around in my head. Like, yeah, I really love the grace part, Coach. I really feel like that was extremely essential for people to know and realize that, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. Take time with yourself, be kind, implement the grace, and get to know yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Get to know yourself. You're going to make mistakes, and it's okay. Like, I think that's really key. I think that's the most profound thing for me, was that I didn't actually know who I was. I'd lost track, and I kind of know when, but I think that happens especially a lot with women that look like us. We lose track because we're so busy doing everything for everybody else apart from ourselves. So that was it's a great reminder. So thank you, Coach.
Love this. Yeah, this has been awesome. And what I will take away, one of my takeaway from this conversation is definitely have grace on yourself.
Yeah.
That's the part, because I think as much as we say it to others, we don't actually adapt that for our own selves in our everyday life. Do you know what I mean? Kind of thing. And I think even with me just kept on getting your name incorrectly, and I started to beat myself up internally, but it was just like, give yourself grace. It's not a name that you're familiar with all the time. I know it's just kind of gone off topic, but it's going back to the mindset of just giving yourself grace. So thank you for breaking down your name for me, Aujile. And but it's towards the end of the show, I got it right.
You did.
Yeah.
And that's progress. That's progress. And it's about progress, not perfection. So good job.
Amen. Ashe, ashe. I receive. I feel think it's time that we now end the show. But thank you so much. I think there's one more comment. Tremaine said, yes, we definitely need to give ourselves more grace. Yes, girlfriend, we definitely do. So thank you so much, Coach Aujile, for being with us this evening. And guys, make sure you do connect. And if you personally don't need this in terms of the actual program that she's going to be starting from Friday, do share it with other people, because maybe somebody in your network that really needs this, and they're really maybe at their diet, you know, like even just they've got medical conditions and they've been getting warnings from the GP, etc., and things are just not working. Please do share this live with your contacts. Keep on sharing, because at the end of the day, sharing is all about caring. We are caring about our community, no matter who that person is. We need to be there for one another, because if you aren't, nobody else is going to be. Just saying. So without further ado, thank you so much. So we will stay connected with you by all means, and by all means do keep in contact with us, and we will share all your information, which will be in the description for those who's also catching the replay at a later time. And keep on doing the amazing work that you are doing, Queen. We are so proud of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Super inspirational, Queen. Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you, Coach. Bye. That was awesome, T. Oh my God. I feel so inspired.
I just love everything that she had to say. You know what I'm like when I'm just listening, like, wow.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Guys, make sure if you haven't subscribed, make sure you subscribe. If you have subscribed, then please just comment after the show. Just give us the thumbs up. Tell us what your biggest takeaway from the show was, from this evening's show or this afternoon show, wherever you are tuned in throughout the world. Just give us a comment. Just let us know what was your biggest takeaway from this evening's show. And we will hope to see you again, this same place, same time next week. On the 31st, we have an amazing guest. We are going to be talking about the power within. We have an amazing young man who's going to be joining us. His name is Stephen Sudridge. Is it Stephen Sudridge? It's Sudridge, yeah. So he's going to be joining us next week, Wednesday, and we're going to be talking about the power within. And so to find out more about that, you do need to subscribe to the show, and make sure, guys, you hit that notification button so every time we go live, you are notified. And we don't always have to keep on saying that. Reminders. So yes, we can get the countdown. So peace out, everybody, and those who are living in the UK. Make sure you are safe if you're going down there to Notting Hill Carnival. Whoa, blow that whistle and blow that horn. Yeah. So let me keep myself here. Guys, enjoy yourself at Carnival. We are planning to be down at the Saxon Sound corner, wherever that is, but we will be down there enjoying ourselves. So we hope to see you down there. Until next time, peace out. Laters. You got anything else to say, Miss T, before we say bye? Because I'm just forgetting. Like,
no, it's all right. I'm good. Have a wonderful week, bank holiday weekend. Even if you're not going to Carnival, make sure you do something spectacular. Still have fun. The sun has been out in the UK for a little while, so listen, get full. Take full advantage, all right?
How long it's gonna last, because so when it's winter. Yeah, no retreat, no surrender. Anyway, until next time, guys, and make sure if you haven't sent us a message, we want to know from you if you want tickets to go to the African Spiritual Practice, which is taking place this weekend, Friday to Saturday. If you want free tickets, all you have to do is private message us on our Instagram. Make sure you're following African Spiritual Practices. Make sure you're following Now Chat Show, and tell us who is the founder of African Spiritual Practices. It's really that simple. And then we will give you a pair of tickets, and you can go either on Friday or you can go on Saturday. It's really that simple. All right, so guys, this is what you can expect at the event.
I'm ready to work. I'm ready to sing, to dance, to connect, to community, to ancestors, to learn, to smile. Come to get hugs, come to give.
So we hope to see you there. I will be there on Saturday. So if you want to see me in person, feel free to come down. And until then, peace out. Laters. Ciao.